Hey guys, this is Zlewikk, and since we have another Wednesday, it means another dev diary for Project Ceasar, which everyone knows it's EU5. Even Johan is no longer hiding it. Well, he's kinda hiding it by making fun of it. Last week we were discussing about control of the provinces, so some kind of the autonomy in EU5. Today the dev diary is about money. How do we get money? From what sources? And where do we spend it? Like in any other Europa Uuniversalis game, you have a balance, you have income, you have expenses. The more balance you have, the more gold you're saving in your sack. There will be sliders, which you also see in a second. Maybe it's in Pro too. But yeah, let's start with income. First of all, we have incomes coming from trade, but this is just it we're knowing now. More of it will be explained in the future dev diaries, apparently in early May. Then we also have some income that is diplomatically related, just like, you know, currently EU4 have subsidies, etc. So there will be something similar here, but we don't know much yet. How much gold we are getting from provinces, not locations, from provinces, from their surplus of food that they cannot store in their local market. So you see, the food will be a very important part of EU5, and the more food you are producing, the more you're selling it outside. And you see, neither of this you directly control with any slider though. But yeah, the biggest bulk of country's income, in most of the cases, will be based on the tax meta, unless you are a trading nation. And you see that in the Project Ceasar, taxes are different than before. First of all, every state has a possible tax, so it's not like in the EU4, for example, right, where each province has its tax that is impacted by buildings in that province and national modifiers. In this case, the taxes will be based on the estates. Maybe it will change over the game time, maybe in 18th century will be a bit different, but we'll see. But the concept will delve into much more in the next week. For now, we know that we can attempt to tax different estates, and every state has a base tax, so the minimum that we will always get from them, but they also have a maximum tax that we can get with a slider. So you see that, for example, a slider for burgers is on this level, and this little shade here is saying us what's the max tax that we can get, same for the commoners. But yeah, the max tax will depend on our laws and privileges, as well as how much power they have in the country. Obviously, the higher tax we take from them, the lower the satisfaction they will have. So you see that actually the equilibrium of satisfaction is visible for each estate in the place when we are taxing them. Some examples of tax-affected things include the Catholic religion, which limits the taxes on the clergy, and also the auction and concilium estate privilege for nobles, which reduces the tax they pay. Obviously, the privilege will be a big part of this gameplay. There will be also minting, so something that we don't have in EU4, for example. In EU4, just take loans. Actually, loans are not mentioned in the dev diary, but yeah, minting is getting money for free. But obviously, this money for free impacts your inflation. So there it goes. We've got minting. We've got nobility. It is also a slider, it's not a button. We've got a nobility tax, clergy tax, burghers tax, commoners tax, there's interest, so there will be loans, they're just not explained yet. The trade income, the diplomacy, the mentioned selling food, mercenary income. That might tell us that we will be able to sell mercenaries to other nations. And other income. Let's go to the expenses. First of all, there'll be a cost of your card, and as you remember, the card was something between advisors and some other figures that you will have in your nation. And what they're mentioning here, the more we're spending on the card, which will be also a slider, I assume, the higher legitimacy we are getting. So that's the main impact the cost of the card is having. But I assume there will be more of it in the game. Obviously, there will be cost of your army and the navy, but this is nothing new. Same for the fort maintenance, which will impact the garrison. The less you pay for the fort, the less garrison there will be there. And this is something new. So culture is an entirely new concept, which will become available in Age of Renaissance, where you can invest money to get by also impacting your prestige. I don't know, maybe it will be something about the artists. I don't have any other guesses. Let me know in comments, guys. So you can, you invite artists to your court, etc. You can also decide how much you wish to spend your colonial charters, which is also a new system we will talk about later this year. So it might maybe a bit different approach towards colonization compared to EU4. But yeah, the last thing you can impact with a study is investment in stability. And that's something, I think that's one of the biggest feedback for EU4 again. There's too much stuff happening there just based on the click. You click this, you spend virtual mana, you get stability. Well, and I think Imperator Rome also get this stage because they either did not have stability or stability based on mana, and they changed it to be an equilibrium between 0 and 100 in Imperator Rome. Here in EU5 Project Ceasar, we have a stability that is gonna travel between -100 and 100, where 0 is the basic equilibrium. And there are many ways to impact this stability. One of the things is money you spend on it, but there's also gain that may be based on the cabinet system, and also the long-term impact on clergy build-up. So the more clergy pops you're having of your state religion, the better stability. So see, this is the list of the costs that we have as an example. I think the quantity-wise it is similar to EU4, maybe a bit bigger. So there's court cost, army maintenance, I'm wondering what this button is meaning, navy maintenance, fort maintenance, culture, cost of your colonies, stability, paying the interest, so in EU4 you're just gaining money from trade. Here you can expense money on the trade. That's also something new. The diplomacy, buying food if you don't have enough of it, hiring mercenaries, exploration cost. So there's a separate cost for colonies, separate cost for navy, and separate cost for exploration, even though all of these three things are very much combined, right? Maybe you should cut down on our fleet. No, this is absolutely fine. The forts also are really required in the country. But yeah, next week we'll talk more in depth about how the tax base functions, how the food system works. I think we are really interested how this is gonna work, so it's gonna be really interesting. I think I don't have any negative feedback on what I'm seeing here, maybe besides the UI, but yeah, UI is work in progress. As usual, the crucial part of the Tinto Talks is coming in the comment section. Reading actual news, I sleep. Reading Tinto Talks, real shit. The Project Ceasar intro sentence gets more sarcastic each week. Hello Johan, I'm seriously sick and according to my doctor, the only thing that can save me is seeing the map of Carpathia in Project Ceasar. Thanks for consideration. Have you tried to look at Google Map? Might elevate the symptoms. It's per million, by the way. Very important note, there will be 3 more weeks of purely economic development diaries after this one, so stay tuned. A whole month of economic dev diaries. Maps will be shown again soon. Please, we want maps for every dev diary. Rebels and revolts will be also soon, together with civil wars. Will high taxation do more than only reducing how much a faction likes you? Could be reducing their influence if they got no money, reduce the amount of pops, etc. It reduces their influence long term by being poorer. They have less money to invest, for example, in their internal stuff. Why does the state earn money from the food surplus? Shouldn't be the states. And the income they earn from exporting the food could be taxed because of some fun exploits. I assume they're just simplifying it for the gameplay purposes. Is the taxation rates set in steps, as in every 5%, so 5, 10, 15, or they're 1% increments? And Johan saying it can be whatever you like, between 1.1 percentage differences. So I could have 1.3% of the taxation, I couldn't have 1.37. Condos are back! Not exactly. So I was saying that earlier, not condottieri, but renting mercenaries. So maybe it's just a bit different. Is the Court of Courts needing to do something else if the country is a republic? Maybe, but I find it's better to have concept with the same name. For now. Are mercenaries getting a rework? Because in EU4 they are combined with Lonsen, the base effectively free troops. I wouldn't say they are free troops, but hell yeah, as you see. Yeah, I think the Imperator Rome merc system is a really good example. Just as a reminder for you who don't know, there are specific merc companies in game that are linked to specific provinces. Only once they can be rented. So if I rent mercenaries A, nation B cannot do that, but what they can do, they can pay these mercs to go on their side, and then I'll have a decision to either pay even more or just let these mercs being taken over by a different nation. You keep mentioning gold. What happened to ducats? Same stuff, I just call it gold, as that's what it's been called in the code since the first alpha of EU1. We can gain income from interest. Does it mean we can give loans to other nations? Yes, it's like diplomatic income, right? Adrenaline point to not put armies on navies maintenance to 0 while at peace, as they were not being ready for war day 1, where there are some drawbacks to it that we'll know have in the future. Inflation is increased by minting coins. How can you reduce it? In EU4, there are many modifiers impacting this, and you could just pay mana to take care of it. Not minting has a small reduction, but there are other ways. A standing army in hundreds instead of thousands. I think 300 was mentioned. You are the first one to notice, well, in the comment section. Does it mean we will not have 5 bazillion armies in EU5 like we can do in EU4? No longer -3+3 stability, finally, thanks. Yes, that's such an important change. How the budget deficit is gonna work? Same as in EU4, if you have no money you take loans, if you can't take any more loans you go bankrupt. Important information about how you pay for the army. The state will not pay for the levies coming from estates. A confirmation that the stability is gonna work very similarly to Imperator Rome. From where the food is being bought and sold to, hopefully it's not in the ether. And it's from and to the market. If there's no food in the market, they can't buy it. And if you can't trace a safe path to the market center, there's no food transaction. Meaning that if you're an island nation, you don't produce food, and you blockade it, you should starve to death. Our slide is really that useful. In EU4, the only economic slide that I ever touched in a meaningful way was the anti-corruption one, and I only need to keep my finances positive while still working on corruption. The Navy and the Army slides could have just had a maintenance toggle like force for all I cared. There is a button to automate the sliders if you so prefer. That's nice. So for the lazy people, it's there's an automation, but you can still make it more efficient yourself. And it's again confirmation you can hire mercs to other nations. And then also confirmation that your army, especially at the start of the game, is gonna be a mix of levies and a standing army of the nation. And it is important the standing army is pitiful in size compared to levies from estates. Is the reason why selling food has been chosen as a specific provincial source of income and not selling goods in general? Will provincial economy actively be limited to food? Because food is another thingy, and it was mentioned that there will be a whole trade system, which will be about all of the other goods. And another thing, there will be a dynamic flags and coat of arms system in Project Ceasar, something similar to CK3 and Victoria 3. How much does the UI resemble the final product? Both will have sliders and both will show numbers. Yes, I told you, the UI will probably change a lot. And there it is. If an island nation decides to only import food and not produce themselves, they would starve to death eventually if 100% blockaded. Would take a while, but yeah. A couple of questions. Can you debase a currency like in EU4? That is minting. Can you literally ruin a game due to losing a lot of your population, or is there a mechanism that tells you enough is enough and makes you stop the war, surrender to peace terms? You can ruin your games, yes. Will prestige be capped like in EU4 or capped like in Victoria 2? It will be capped, so similar system. Okay guys, this is it. I just read 2 hours of comments in the comment section. I hope that you guys did enjoy it. And if that's true, please do remember to leave a like on this video to get it promoted to more people, so reach the good news. Let me know in comments what you think about this stuff, and obviously subscribe to the channel to get notified about the future content. Yeah, and if you're watching it today, so on Wednesday, I'm streaming EU4 multiplayer game at 7 PM test. Please come.